Welcome to the Big D Speaks. We've had some good news today. Erik Ten Hag has signed a new contract. I don't know the ins and outs of what's happened yet. I haven't caught up with Sky Sports or anything like that, but I have heard that he has signed, and I think that is an absolutely fantastic piece of news for Manchester United. It sends a message to the players and the staff that Erik is the board's man. I'm really glad they got him. They kept him, rather, and they didn't go for Tuchel or Pochettino or any of those other managers. I think Ten Hag, he's had some fantastic moments at United so far, particularly last season in the FA Cup. And I love how he brings through the youth, and he seems to be a fighter. And it just seems to me, and I feel as though this happened with Ferguson as well. Alex Ferguson did really well when he first signed for Manchester United. I think he came second in his first season in 86 or 87. And then there was a little bit of a transitional period while he was building his own team, while he was building an Alex Ferguson team. And they had a lull. And he nearly got sacked, very famously, until Mark Robbins scored that goal against Nottingham Forest to put them through into the next round. And then they went on and had a lovely cup run, and they won the FA Cup in 1990, beating Crystal Palace in the FA Cup final replay with a goal by Lee Martin. And then things just kicked on from there. Now, under previous regimes, Alex Ferguson probably would have been sacked. If Murtaugh was the director, the sporting director, or if Woodward was, and a young Alex Ferguson came through today. But Martin Edwards saw the writing on the wall that Alex Ferguson was the man for Manchester United. And he allowed him to pass through the eye of the needle, that glass ceiling that every manager needs to pass through when they are building a side. And I feel as though this is the moment for Ten Hag. I hope it is. It's been 10 years and we've been shit. But maybe, just maybe, this sends the right message to all of those players, including Rashford, that hang on a minute, we can't down tools anymore. We need to fight for this manager. We need to just do our jobs and entertain the fans. Hopefully, that is this moment. But anyway, let's see what the reports say.
Let's get to the major news that we brought you in the last hour. And after a turbulent summer where Manchester United spoke to other managerial candidates, Erik Ten Hag has signed a new contract with the club. The deal adds another year to his contract and that ends in the summer of 2026. It's understood he's agreed to the same terms as on his existing contract. We're told United are also working on a potential refresh of Ten Hag's coaching staff, and there are also changes behind the scenes, with former Chelsea technical director Christopher Gravel coming in on an interim basis, and Dan Ashworth appointed as sporting director this week. Well, this is what Ten Hag has said. I'm very pleased to have reached agreement with the club to continue working together. Looking back at the past 2 years, we can reflect with pride on 2 trophies and many examples of progression from where we were when I joined. However, we must also be clear that there is still lots of hard work ahead to reach the levels expected of Manchester United, which means challenging for English and European titles. In my discussions with the club, we've found complete unity in our vision for reaching those goals, and we're all strongly committed to making that journey together. A new United sporting director, Dan Ashworth, said this. With 2 trophies in the past 2 seasons, Erik has reinforced his record as one of the most consistently successful coaches in European football. While the club's review of last season highlighted areas for improvement, it also reached a clear conclusion that Erik was the best partner for us to work with in driving up standards and outcomes. This group of players and staff have already shown they're capable of competing and winning at the top level. Now we need to do it more consistently. With our strengthened football leadership team now in place, we're looking forward to working hand in hand with Erik to achieve our shared ambitions for this football club.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's great. It seems to me that the board, so far, this new board, Ineos, They seem to be making measured, intelligent decisions. Thankfully. Because it was clear to see last season, if Manchester United didn't have as many injuries as they did, the whole team was injured. But they had about 95,000 different defensive partnerships throughout the whole season. Obviously, I exaggerate. So clearly, the team just couldn't gel properly. And if we didn't have as many injuries, let's say we only had 25% of the injuries that we had last season, we would have finished top 4, no problem, because there's talent in that team. I'm liking this. Measured decisions by the board. Hopefully, they keep this up. We'll see.
Well, let's get more on this. We can go live to Chief Reporter Kavi Solokol, who's in Germany but has been across this story for us this summer. Kavi, good afternoon to you. Just to explain, what has been the process then to get to this point?
Well, it hasn't been straightforward, but we got there in the end, and I think most match day Manchester United supporters will be very, very pleased because they've always wanted Erik Ten Hag to stay. They know that he's done a very good job in very difficult circumstances. If you go back 6 weeks or so ago to the FA Cup final, there was lots of talk in the build-up to that game that Erik Ten Hag's job was on the line, that he may lose his job even if United won the FA Cup. But of course, United downplayed all that, and they made it clear that after the FA Cup final, there would be an end-of-season review. Now, as it happened, Erik Ten Hag managed to get a brilliant performance out of the United players for that FA Cup final. They beat Manchester City, and then after that game, United's review began. Now, the review lasted a couple of weeks, and according to Erik Ten Hag himself, who's been working for Dutch media during this Euros tournament, he said that he believed that United had spoken to other managers, including Thomas Tuchel. He said that they'd spoken to multiple candidates, but in the end, they came to the conclusion that the best man for the job was Erik Ten Hag, and they flew out to Spain, where Erik Ten Hag was on holiday, and they told him that they wanted him to stay. And I think Erik Ten Hag was happy to stay as well. Of course, the only issue was that his contract runs out next summer. So I don't think United could go into next season with this question mark hanging over Erik Ten Hag's long-term future.
Quite right.
That is why it was made clear that all parties would sit down and talk about him either signing a new deal or extending his contract. And that is what has happened. So
sends the right message.
After the FA Cup final, we now know that Erik Ten Hag is definitely staying, and he's also signed a contract extension by 12 months on the same terms, so he will be United manager until 2026.
And clearly something that they will have spoken about is targets. What do you think his targets will be for this upcoming season?
Well, look, first of all, I've got to say, I think Erik Ten Hag has done a very good job. He's had a hard job to do.
Before we get into that, targets have got to be top 4 and hopefully a trophy. Does that? Brilliant season.
There has been a lot going on behind the scenes at Manchester United. Everybody knows the long drawn-out takeover saga. Everybody knows about all the sort of various disciplinary issues that he's had to deal with behind the scenes. Also, league performances haven't been good enough. It is simply unacceptable for a club as big as Manchester United to finish 8th in the Premier League. But Erik Ten Hag is a winner. We saw that at Ajax, and we've seen that at United. He's won 2 trophies, the League Cup and also the FA Cup as well. What Erik Ten Hag needs to do now is improve United's league form. United have to have a settled way of playing. It has to be effective. It has to be successful. They have to take the fight to Manchester City. They have to take the fight to Liverpool, to Arsenal. they also have to deal with all these other clubs who are improving all the time, like Newcastle United, like Aston Villa, like Spurs, like Chelsea as well. So it's a big, big job for Erik Ten Hag, but I think he now has everything he needs to make Manchester United successful again, because there's a new structure at the club, new leadership team. He's going to have help when it comes to recruitment issues as well. So I think everything is set up for Erik Ten Hag to be successful at United. It's a new chapter in the club's history. And as I said, I think the match day United fans believe in Erik Ten Hag because they see with their own eyes the work that is going on. Yes, sometimes performances are not good enough. Yes, sometimes results are not good enough. But they like Erik Ten Hag. They've taken to him. They like the way he deals with the players. When they step out of line or when they don't perform, he takes them by the scruff of the neck. He sends them out for extra running. He is hard on them, but a lot of fans think that that is what these United players need. And also, I think United fans like the way he deals with the media. He sort of is very quite sort of stern, doesn't give too much away, always protects the dressing room and always protects
Doesn't put up with any nonsense.
interests. So for fans, I think this is a good day. And of course, for Erik Ten Hag, it's a good day as well, because I think United are now showing that they have faith in him. Okay, in an ideal situation, I think perhaps Erik would have preferred if he got a 3 or 4 year contract. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him, but some people I've already noticed on social media are saying that, okay, it's not that much of a new deal. It's just an extension by 12 months. But I'm not too worried about that. I think if I was a United supporter, I would be saying, let's forget about the past. Let's forget about all the turmoil. Let's back the manager.
And you...
Yeah, there's no excuses now. He's got the backroom team that every top level team has now. He's got the sporting director, he's got the recruitment, he's got the director of football, he's got technical director, he's got every which kind of director he can possibly have. There is absolutely no excuses now, and that's fine. That's fine. If he goes into next season and we perform in the same way, with no excuses, then fair enough. Time's up. He'll have no excuses. But I don't think that'll happen. I think United will have a good, consistent season next season. But there's one thing he forgot to add there, the match day fans, of which I am one. One of the things that we do like is the fact that how he deals with big egos. He doesn't put up with any nonsense. He dealt with Ronaldo swiftly. He dealt with Jadon Sancho swiftly. I love that. I love that in a manager. Deals with it.
Touched on it being a new chapter. You spoke about the players there. There is this kind of new group of young players coming through. How much credit can Erik Ten Hag take for bringing through these youngsters?
Oh, a lot. Manchester United's history is based on having young players coming through as part of their identity. And Erik Ten Hag has been very good at developing young players. You know, we've seen how good Kobbie Mainoo is out here playing for England in midfield next to Declan Rice. A couple of weeks ago, there was a news conference where Kobbie Mainoo was being asked lots of questions about his reaction to the news that Erik Ten Hag was staying. And you could see from his face, he was delighted.
Yeah.
Ten Hag was staying. He's been a very, very important influence on Mainoo's career. And also players like Alejandro Garnacho, who has thrived under Erik Ten Hag. So I think that's a big plus.
Viva Garnacho.
Ten Hag, the way he develops.
Viva Garnacho.
What I think perhaps he needs to improve on is recruitment. A lot of people looking from the outside in will say recruitment at United has not been good enough. I think the new minority owner, Jim Ratcliffe, has said it himself. He said recruitment needs to improve, but they have addressed that. They have changed the recruitment department. New people have come in. So I think Erik Ten Hag is going to get a lot of help and assistance with signing players and also moving some players on. But yes, to answer your question quickly, definitely the fact that he's so good at developing young players is one of the reasons he's staying.
Like every time someone says the minority owner with Jim Ratcliffe, it's weird because he might be the minority owner technically, but that minority that he owns is the most important part of the football club. It's weird. It's like someone owns a Ferrari, but he gives it to someone, and he's the only one that's allowed to drive it. Whose Ferrari is it really? It's nuts.
Okay, Cavi, good to talk to you. Thank you very much for now. So yeah, Cavi out in Germany there. You can see our reporter James Savundra alongside me now to look at what this news means for United's business this summer. Cavi touched on it slightly there. So, James, how will United look off the pitch, first of all, going forward?
Yeah, very different. A number of changes have been made to this leadership team already.
Who's this guy?
Spoke in a statement today following the confirmation of Erik Ten Hag's contract extension about a strengthened leadership team. And let's bear in mind, Dan Ashworth only started work officially on Monday as sporting director. He'll report to Omar Barada, who is going to be the new CEO. He doesn't start work until later this month after joining from Manchester City. And Jason Wilcox, a former Manchester City.
That's from a sinking ship.
He joined from Southampton in the summer, so he'll report to Dan Ashworth. And then you've got a potential situation where Christopher Vivell joins as a new director of recruitment on a short-term basis, with a view to potentially that being a long-term appointment moving forward. And so Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos have been desperate to try and create a structure around the head coach where United can be successful once again. And the hope is that there's a foundation and a framework now where this man, Erik Ten Hag, will have everything he needs to deliver success. And by success, we're talking European titles and winning the Premier League once again.
Yeah, so that's off the pitch. What about the knock-on effect on the pitch then? Because I guess is the hope that these changes make things better for United in the transfer market this summer?
Yeah, I think it needs to happen because Jim Ratcliffe, when he spoke to the media the first time in February, he spoke about transfer dealings being the one thing that he really needs to sort. He sees that being of critical importance because the dealings Manchester United have had over the previous years simply hasn't been good enough. You can see some of the transfers they've made in the 2 seasons under Erik Ten Hag, and you can see the fact there is a real scattergun approach. There's players later on in their career, the likes of Christian Eriksen joining on a free, that was seen as a good bit of business. I think you see some of the players that have worked out really well. Rasmus Højlund showed some really encouraging signs. Casemiro had a brilliant first season for Manchester United. But when you look at the signing of Antony, a player who worked for Erik Ten Hag in Ajax, I think you can see how Manchester United were influenced very heavily by Erik Ten Hag and what he wanted to do in this transfer window. Lisandro Martinez has been really impressive with Manchester United, but has been unfit at times. I think Manchester United will obviously pay attention to the record.
Right, hang on a minute. Just need to interject there just a little bit. Hey, I don't necessarily think Erik Ten Hag signings have been awful. Martinez has been class. Maybe they've overspent a little bit on Antony. I think they overspent on Mason Mount as well. And the problem is, a couple of those players are made of glass. They're always injured. Mason Mount played, 4 games last year? Somewhat silly. And Anthony's had some off-the-field issues as well. Add to that, the whole team have been a bit crap, so his form has plummeted. And it's the same with Man United, with everything. Everything gets blown out of proportion. If it's not... It used to be David De Gea, and then Harry Maguire wasn't worth it. Now Anthony's not worth it. There's always a player that's not worth it. And then all of a sudden the player turns around and gets a little bit of form, and then all of a sudden the world beat us again. I mean, personally, I think there's more to come from Antony. I can understand why people think he's been a bit crap and he's overpriced. Yeah, I can understand that. But he's had some moments there, and the jury's out for me on him. I think Eriksen was a good signing, considering we got him for nothing. Didn't like the Onana signing, not at all. Nothing against Onana necessarily, but I loved David De Gea. David De Gea should still be playing for Manchester United. I thought that was bad form with how they done that. Whether that was an Erik Ten Hag decision or Murto, Good riddance to Murtaugh, by the way. I don't know. Who else? Malacia, made of glass, obviously. Hoyland, there's a player there. He looks like a potential world beater. So I don't necessarily think his signings have been that bad. A big reason why I think it's more that we had a lot of injuries last season, and the players that were already there weren't pulling the weight, like Rashford and Sancho. But anyway, we'll continue.
Recommendations and what Erik Ten Hag needs, but crucially they've got a structure around him now where recruitment will be led by Dan Ashworth and the names that we've been speaking about that have been appointed. United simply do need to get it right in this window. We know they're looking for potentially 2 central defenders. Rafael Varane departed the club in the summer. We know talks progressing well around the signing of Matthijs de Ligt from Bayern Munich. We've been speaking about the interest they have in Jav Branthwaite as well. 2 potential centre-backs coming in this window. They need to strengthen in attack. They have one out-and-out striker now in the form of Rasmus Højlund. We've been talking about Joshua Zirkzee. Talks ongoing between Manchester United and his representatives about a potential signing there. And in centre midfield, they're looking for options as well. So the whole spine of the team, Manchester United are looking at. But crucially, they've got the most important bit of business done in this window. They've decided that Erik Ten Hag is the right man to lead them into this new era. They've extended his contract.
Yeah.
Now look at potentially refreshing his coaching team. And crucially, they now need to refresh his playing squad as well. So a big summer ahead, but a lot of good work done already. Manchester United will think anyway, in terms of securing this man's future into next season and beyond.
So there you go. Erik Ten Hag. He's going to be our manager for next season at least, unless the team nosedives and he's gone by Christmas. Hopefully that's not the case. I don't think that'll be the case. I'm liking some of the signings that are being mooted so far. Matthijs de Ligt for 42 million quid. Matthijs de Ligt for 42 million quid or something like that. Yes, please. I'd certainly have a slightly injury-prone Matthijs de Ligt over a 70 million Jared Braithwaite, because 70 million for him, that is stupid money. I mean, Harry Maguire was stupid money, to be fair. He's a good player, but he's not 80 million. And Jared Braithwaite is not 70. Need chance. But Matthijs de Ligt, class. Zirkzee, I like the sound of that signing. A striker that alternates with Rasmus Højlund. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I think, so he's at Bologna, and we're getting him for a good price, 38 mil or something like that. And I think they've got him from Bayern Munich's youth team. And I believe he's a bit of a wonder kid on Football Manager for all you Football Manager players. So that would be a good signing. I like this Ugarte guy. He seems to be half decent too. Who else are they thinking of signing? I'm not sure. But I'm liking how everything just seems to be measured. Measured is the key word of this particular video I'm making today. Measured. So yeah. Anyway, this has been the Big D speaking. I hope you haven't found me too annoying. I hope you found me a little bit informative. More content like this at the Big D _. Subscribe, like, share, do all the business. And hopefully you'll see me again.